Hey everyone, it's that time again. It is my movie series where I take a few of my favorite Disney franchises and try to make a deck out of it and bring it to our locals. And today I bring you Peter Pan, which is going to kick off the Into the Inklands series. If you guys haven't seen that already, I have a whole series on my channel for set 1 and set 2. And today starts off with the set 3 Into the Inklands movie series. So Peter Pan, this is a ruby steel deck, and there's a lot of removal in here in terms of challenging. It's essentially like a pirates deck because of all the hooks and the locations, and it has some synergy with certain cards that are out together like Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. Today I went 2 and 2. My first round was against Amber Emerald Mufasa, against my wife actually. I won that one. Round 2 was against Ruby Amethyst Control. I lost that one because late in the game, you don't really have a lot of late game stuff, so it kind of just spirals out of there. Round 3, I played against Amethyst Emerald Bucky discard, which is a really interesting take on the Emerald Steel discard version. I was able to win that because my opponent had a really bad hand. And then round 4 was Ruby Sapphire Popsicle Control, which was also a rough matchup, especially late in the game, where they're just dropping big character cards that I cannot get rid of. So let's go ahead and start off with the deck. The 1-drops, I ran 4 Captain Hook. He synergizes well with Mr. Smee, which we'll see in a little bit, and he's a pirate, so he synergizes with another location, which you'll see in a little bit, which is Jolly Roger. And he could challenge a lot of the 1-3 cards if they still run those in this kind of meta, but he's very essential in your starting opening hand. Next, I ran 2 Fire the Cannons. There's a lot of cards out there that you just want to be able to get rid of on the field. There's Cinderella for like the Amber Steel songs. There's Rafiki and Amethyst. There's a lot of, even in the mirror matches, Captain Hooks. So being able to do 2 damage early on to kind of offset their plays is essential. Onto the 1-drop locations, I run 4 Jolly Rogers. So this is a whole theme of the deck, hook ship. Characters gain rush while here, so even if you play this on turn 1, and then you play like a Smee on turn 2, it gains rush, and your pirate characters can move here for free. So it's a really great location, and it just adds to the lore of the story of Peter Pan. 2 costs. One of my favorite cards in the game, Mr. Smee. He is so strong for his stats. He's a 3/3 quest for 2. At the end of my turn, if I'm exerted and I don't have a captain character in play, deal 1 damage. But being able to get Captain Hook in there, he's a captain, so that kind of mitigates the damage. But he's a very strong character early in the game, and you want to see this against like aggro, or if you're on the draw. Very good card. Another good card. It's not really from Peter Pan, but half these cards aren't. But boom, it's essentially like a cannon type of thing, and it deals 2 damage to chosen character or location. This really helps too. Early game is similar to Fire the Cannons, but the boom targets, like what I mentioned earlier, Cinderella, so she can't sing, and just makes some awkward plays early in the game. Plutos for shifting, all that. A lot of good targets. Next for the other 3 costs is John Silver. John Silver can get kind of out of hand if you have a bunch of locations on the field. So his ability is chart your own course. For each location you have in play, this character gains +1 resist and +1 lore. So with Jolly Roger out, with multiple cards out, he could be questing for 3, 4 even. I was able to get him consistently be able to quest for 3 every single time, and he has that plus 1, 2, 3 resist on top of that. Really hard to get rid of. They're gonna have to use hard removal against John Silver. Next, I run the Tinkerbell package. I do run the lower shift target, which is Tinkerbell Tiny Tactician. She's a 2/4. I like her ability because she could exert to draw a card and then discard a card, so you could get rid of some of those uninkables in your hand. But she could shift into Big Tink on turn 4, which is really helpful against the Emerald Steel discard matchup, especially if they're running Cursed Merfolk and all that. So being able to give the ping damage, or even Bucky, which did help in one of my matchups, she's very good. But she's really only there for that matchup. So, and of course, to synergize with Peter Pan. Peter Pan 3-drop, Neverland Hero. He's a 1/3, he has a rush, but his ability is, while you have a character named Tinkerbell in play, this character gets +2 strength, so he becomes a 3/3 with rush, can take down a lot of cards early in the game, the Foxes, Ursulas, just a lot of cards that are just early game. Catches a lot of people off guard with the rush. And then I run 2 Benjas. Benja is against, I think he's really good in this meta. Everyone's running, lanterns, flutes, quills, everything. All these items that they're running, Benja is just super powerful against it. I would pry up it more, but there's just really not a lot of space in this Peter Pan deck. 2 more locations at the 3-cost drop. I run Agrabah. It's an okay card. I was debating between this and Nottingham for 2 ink, questing for 1 instead, but it does take away your opponent from challenging your characters because it's a 5 defense, so they're really tempted to get rid of this. But Agrabah's helped, especially if I run Jim Hawkins to pair up with it. Some 4-cost characters, Prince Eric. I always like this card because it makes your opponent play kind of awkward. When this character is banished, you may banish chosen character, so you could run this into another 2, willpower character and then banish like a big drop or something like that. So in one of my games, they had the Flynn Rider 4-cost who had evasive. It was really hard to deal with, so I would just run this into, I think, one of his Merlins or the Mims, and then be able to banish that evasive. It's really powerful. So Prince Eric makes plays really awkward, but he could 2-for-1 somebody if needed. One of the Lost Boys in here, gotta include in the theme, right? Slightly. He's the Fox. If you have a character named Peter Pan in play, you may pay 1 less to play this character. Didn't really use it, but it does have evasive, so if you're playing like Maui's Fishhook to give one of their characters evasive, Minnie Mouse Surfer, he could really just run into them and take them out with the 4 strength. And then for the 4-cost locations, of course, you got to run one of the strongest locations to pair up with Jim, RLS Legacy. Characters gain evasive while here, and if you have a character here, you can pay 2 less to move a character in here. So 8, willpower is super powerful, and questing for 2, sometimes it just sits there for a couple turns and does what it does. But to bring that out, really, the best pairing is Jim Hawkins. Essentially, this is like a Jim Hawkins location turbo deck, but you could kind of build it to have more locations if you want. But Jim Hawkins paired up with RLS Legacy is so good. You're pretty much essentially paying 5 ink to put in 2 ink, 4 ink, basically, worth of characters or lore onto the field. And you basically move there for free. So Jim is good. He's a little slow in the format, but he's really great with those locations. And if you clear the board, or if your opponent is playing something like, let's say, Emerald with a lot of low strength characters, it could potentially survive. 5 costs. Captain Hook. Gotta run Hook. He is the nemesis of Peter Pan, Master Swordsman. He is a pirate. He is a captain. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in challenge, ready this character, he can't quest for the rest of the turn. So he is like a mini Maui/Scar. He readies up after you banish a character, so you could kind of 2-for-1, maybe even 3-for-1 a character, and then if they got a location, you might be able to finish it off. Characters named Peter Pan lose evasive and can't gain evasive, which is kind of ironic, but it's also thematic because it makes you want to synergize this to fight against, Peter Pan, which is essentially what it is. But for this point in the deck profile, we're including both of them, and it's just fun. All right, I gotta have some competitive cards in there, right, just to make it a little bit more spicy. So I run 4 Sad Boy Beast. You need some card draw because these 2 combinations really don't draw much. Steel does have their draw power, with a whole new world, and you can run that. I'm not running it in this build, but you could definitely do that. A Beast, at least if he's able to survive a turn, he could draw you 2. And he could be really strong if there's a damage on him, so he could take out certain locations. 1 Starkey, poor Starkey, could have been better, but he is a set 1 card. Probably never played this in your life besides probably Sealed. But he's a 5/4. While you have a captain character in play, this character gets +1 lore. But what's great about him is that he could move into Jolly Roger for free, and he could challenge characters with that 5 strength. So he's really just there to kind of beat people up if he's able to. He's Hook's henchman, so insert Starkey meme here. Then to round off the top end of the deck, I run 4 Peter Pans, Pirate's Bane, he's a 4/5, he could shift for 4. He does have Evasive, which is really nice. Challenge the Surfer Minis and whatever else has Evasive out there. Genie maybe if they're running Genie. And then whenever he challenges a pirate character, this character takes no damage from that challenge. So it's really good against Steel. They're running Smees as well, so you can just take him out. It doesn't take any damage from that, but he's been okay. And then probably the only really good effective card in this deck is Tinkerbell. Giant Fairy, she's good against wide boards. Amber Steel, Emerald card, just you know, Cursed Merfolk, all that stuff. Brocky gives a damage, so Tinkerbell is essentially needed. But yeah, that is the deck. There are a few expensive cards in there that are a little bit pricey, of course, the Sad Beasts and the Tinkerbells. I do have some alternative cards if you guys want to run that, or if you guys don't have the ability to get those cards. I run Kronk as my substitute for Tinkerbell. Doesn't really necessarily do the whole thing, the whole effect, but it does have resist +1. And then during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in challenge, you may deal 2 damage to chosen character. So that part is very similar to Tinkerbell, but if you can't afford her, I know she's like, I don't know if she's $10 or something like that each. Kronk is a good alternative. If you need a little bit of card draw, as well as some board removal, you don't really run a lot of songs in here, but you could definitely add songs to the package. Let the Storm Rage On could be a good alternative to like Fire the Cannons maybe, since you already have the Boom, but helps you draw a card and deal 2 damage. And then of course, Strength of the Raging Fire. If you're able to get a couple characters on the board, you're just going to be dealing 3 damage, 4 damage, and it's pretty much like a spot removal. But yeah, that is essentially the deck. I hope you guys like it. Take it for a spin. You can definitely make some of these thematic decks now, especially with 3 sets out. It's really exciting to see the card pool expand. So now you could kind of deck build a little bit more with a little bit more freedom, because you have such a large card pool to work from. So I have a couple more movie series to go through. I think I'm doing 5 for this set. So stay tuned for that. I'm also running a subscriber contest. If you sub to my channel, and if I reach 400 subs, I'll be giving out a trove. So that is from the set 3 into the Inklands. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace out.